guys, welcome to my channel. I am back with another video for you guys. If you are new here, I just want to say thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I would love to have you as a part of my family. So do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. Don't be afraid to chat with me. I'll be sure to respond to you. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. It is not going unnoticed. So I'm back with another story time slash childbirth topic. I posted a video last week. If you guys watched that, I talked a little bit about my pregnancy journey, how I found out I was pregnant, and my pregnancy overall and childbirth. This video is going to be a little bit more in detail. I'm going to be talking about inductions and C-sections a little bit more in detail and telling you guys a little bit about how the process went for me. Also a little bit about what to expect. I plan on giving you guys a little bit more tea as far as like my hospital stay and my healing process and everything. So if you guys are interested in hearing more about my induction and my C-section, stay tuned to the end of this video. To start off this video, I'm going to start with why I was induced. I was about 42 weeks pregnant. I was basically 42 weeks pregnant, and my doctor was pretty much like, okay, you're not really showing any signs of labor, or baby's not really showing any signs that he wants to come out. So pretty much at this point, it's a risk for you and the baby. Once you reach past a certain point in pregnancy, it becomes a risk because you and baby could pretty much need emergency treatment. Fetus could pass their first poop, which is called meconium. And when that happens, sometimes baby can inhale it. And from there, it's not good at all. It's really a thing that doctors like to avoid. So they'll try to induce you. Some women opt to have inductions. Some women like to have it happen naturally. And some women like to be induced, which is fine. Both are fine, whatever works for your body. For me personally, I was induced because I wanted to avoid that risk, and I wanted to avoid like infections and the NICU. Although I wanted to have a natural birth and a natural labor and everything, I was just thinking about the safety of my baby and the safety of myself as well. In this particular situation, I wanted to look at the pros and the cons. And so I was thinking, and I did some thinking about it for about a day or two. And I just like, you know what? I know God has got me. I know whatever is meant to happen will happen. I know God wouldn't put me in a situation that is too hard for me to handle. So I decided to get induced. My doctor also wanted to avoid any sort of potential risks. So how did I prep for induction? After the doctor's appointment where I scheduled the induction and everything, I pretty much went home and I didn't pack right away. I pretty much nested and got the house ready for a whole month, but I never packed my hospital bag. I waited until the very last minute to do so. I don't know. I wasn't in a rush to pack it. I know it's like, that's not really recommended, but I just was like not in a rush to pack my hospital bag. For whatever reason, I was procrastinating about it. I was nervous about the whole childbirth thing. So I was just kind of like dragging my feet. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to put in my hospital bag. So I pretty much made sure I had in there everything I needed for baby at the hospital, but it was pretty much the essentials for baby and a couple things for me, like toothbrush, body wash and stuff like that. So that was pretty much what I packed to prepare for the induction. Me and my boyfriend, we tag teamed. We cleaned up the house. We vacuumed and shampooed the rugs. We vacuumed and shampooed the stairs. We cleaned the shower, the bathroom. We changed our bed linen. We cleaned the kitchen, cleaned the fridge. We cleaned everything. We cleaned that thing from top to bottom. Because we just wanted to reset before we brought our bundle of joy home with us. So that was pretty fun, cleaning and resetting the whole house. The house was spotless. I pretty much was counting down the days until induction day. So what happened was they didn't give me like a set time to go in for induction. They gave me a day, which was a Sunday, and it was the Sunday after the doctor's appointment. So I think my doctor's appointment was on the Tuesday, and they told me they were going to induce me on the following Sunday. They gave me a paper with the number on it, and they were like, call this number at the hospital for labor and delivery on the day of induction, and pretty much ask them, what time to come in. They gave me, I believe, 7 p.m. arrival on a Sunday night. It was an interesting time to be going in for an induction. I've watched vlogs and videos of women who had to go in for induction like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. So I was hoping and praying that they didn't give me that early wake up time. They were like, eat dinner so that you're not starving when you get here, because when you get here, you're not going to be able to eat. They pretty much told me to get some rest. We went home and packed our bag that day. That was that Sunday morning. And we pretty much just chilled and waited until it was time to go to the hospital. So that day I had a little bit of anxiety about it. I was just kind of thinking like, this is interesting. It was like a weird feeling. First of all, I'm new to this. I've never given birth. I've never had a baby before. I've never been in a hospital longer than a couple hours. And I was also nervous about the process. I was like, how is this gonna work? Is it gonna hurt? I was just thinking in my head a bunch of things. I was doing a really good job at staying calm. You could look at me and tell I was a little bit nervous, but I wasn't like freaking out nervous. So yeah, that was pretty much how I prepared. I tried to just like mentally get myself together. I listened to a couple gospel songs to just kind of calm myself. I watched some vlogs on YouTube. I think I even watched a TV show. So yeah, that was pretty much how I prepared to go to the hospital for induction. We arrived at the hospital around 7, and when we got there, the nurses were pretty much ready to get things rolling. They had me change into a hospital gown. The OBGYN came in and he checked my cervix just to see if I had dilated any. I had dilated to about a 3 at this point, and this was about 9 o'clock. Like 8 o'clock, this was about 8 o'clock. They did an ultrasound. I was able to see baby on the screen and everything. A little bit after that is when they inserted a balloon for me to be induced. Now they have 2 different ways, I believe, of induction processes. I think there's 2 different ways. One way is with the balloon and another way is with Pitocin. The balloon is inserted into the uterus. Basically, they blow the balloon up while it's inside of your uterus, and they inflate it, and it's meant to basically open your cervix up. They inserted the balloon, they blew it up and whatnot. I was hooked up to a monitor, so I had to call the nurse to use the restroom. You know how it is with pregnant women. We pee nonstop. After they put the balloon in, it was just a waiting game at that point. Then we're just chilling, we watched TV, we turned the lights off. We were like, all right, let's just bask in this moment, because this is the peace before the storm. This is the calmness before the storm, because once baby gets here, all hell's gonna break. We were just kind of like, let's take in this moment as our last time before we are our family of 3. Around 12 midnight, I went to the restroom. I called the nurse in to use the restroom. She took me to the restroom, and then as I was using the restroom, the balloon fell out. And they were like, yep, that's normal, that happens. The process has already begun, so it's just a waiting game from here. The next morning, 7 a.m. the next morning, the doctor came in. My actual OBGYN came in. That morning, they pretty much was just keeping an eye on me, checking to see if, I was dilating more. They checked my cervix a couple times. Around 4 p.m. is when things started to take off, and I was dilated a little bit more by that time. They broke my water around 4 p.m. They were like, okay, just, keep in mind about the epidural, if you want it or not. I had already told them that I didn't want the epidural when I had first got there. I was like, I want to try this natural. They were like, okay, cool, we'll keep that noted, whatever. It came about 4 p.m. They were like, keep in mind about the epidural. If it becomes like too late, you may not be able to get it, because we can't get anesthesia up here to give it to you in time when you really, really want it or really, really need it. And so they were just like pushing that on me. I was fine. I wasn't feeling no like crazy pain. I was in active labor, apparently. I say apparently because I wasn't really feeling much, but just a couple cramps here and there, like a couple intense cramps, but nothing like agonizing. Like I wasn't like in crazy pain, which is how I pictured labor to be. And I'm pretty sure that's how active labor is for most women. But for me, for whatever reason, I wasn't feeling the contractions that they said I was having. They even showed me the machine was printing out like the contractions that I was having, and I was like, oh, that just feels like a cramp. It was funny because they were looking at me like, oh, do you have like really bad menstrual cycles? And I was like, yeah, like I have really bad cramps when I get my periods and everything. And so they were like, oh, that's probably why. You're probably used to this cramping and whatnot. It was just kind of funny because I was like, not really feeling this active labor that they said I was in. I was 16 weeks dilated. I was in active labor. I was having contractions, but I wasn't in crazy pain. And they were trying to push this epidural on me still. I was like, you know what? I'll just get the epidural. Because I was thinking in my head, maybe they know something I don't know. Like maybe they're not telling me something. I don't know. They had me second guessing myself, and I feel like they were playing a mind game with me. I'm not even trying to be funny. I felt as though they were playing a mind game with me, and I don't know if I'm the only woman that may have felt that way, but I felt as though they were playing with me, or they were trying to convince me to get this epidural that I said I didn't want, that I didn't even need. I wasn't in any pain. I didn't feel any contractions that they said I was feeling. I was 6 centimeters dilated, 6. So I had about 4 more to go before I was able to start pushing, right? Baby's head was down and everything. They were just kind of telling me, yeah, you should get this epidural. And even though I was telling them no, they were still just trying to convince me about it, and I didn't feel great about that. And because I came in with a plan, and I know I should have stuck to it because I said I was going to stick to it, but I felt bullied into it. And I know that, they're doing their jobs. They're doing what they're supposed to do. I felt like I was pressured into it. So anyway, I ended up getting the epidural around 6:30 p.m. When they give you the epidural, your partner or whoever's in the room with you, your mom, your dad, who's not a part of the nursing staff or the hospital staff, they have to leave the room because they're not allowed to be in the room while they give you this epidural. So they asked my boyfriend to step out, and he went to the cafeteria to grab him some food before it closed. The nurse was holding my hand. She was really nice. She was talking me through it. She was like, you got this, you can do this, it's almost done. And the anesthesiologist, she got it on the first try, thankfully. She found that insert to get that epidural in on the first try, and I was so thankful for that. And in case you guys didn't know, an epidural isn't just a shot. I don't know why. I think this is like a common misunderstood thing. The epidural isn't just a shot in your back. It's actually a tube. It's actually basically a catheter in your back. It's basically a tube where they insert the medicine through the tube into your spine. It's a tiny spot that they have to place the epidural. It's hard to find sometimes on certain women. Some women, they have to re-poke you. But for me, they got it on the first try. So I only had to be poked in the back once. And I was so grateful for that. You have to sit up very straight on the edge of the bed, and you have to stay very, very still. So I forgot to mention, they did put an IV in my hand. After the epidural was administered, that's when I started getting the shakes. Not like a very aggressive shake, but it was like a shiver shake type of thing. Like I was cold, but I wasn't really cold. It was just a side effect of the epidural. They were like, it's completely normal. Epidurals have a mixture of things in there. One of them being fentanyl, which is crazy when you think about it, but it is a drug that they administer in hospitals. It's a medical drug. In the hospital, it's completely safe, but I think it does have a negative side effect on the woman, and one of those things is shaking. Sometimes it can have a negative effect on your blood pressure as well. I've heard stories of that. Also, it had a negative effect on my baby, in my opinion, because right after they gave me that epidural is when his heart rate started to drop. This was about 10 minutes after they gave me the epidural, so I felt as though it wasn't anything else. And so they gave me the epidural, and they had me get in different positions, and they had me turn on my side, they had me turn on my other side, they had me on my knees, and they had me in a bunch of different positions. Mind you, the epidural numbs your legs, you can't feel your legs. So they had to help me in these positions. And my doctor came in the room. She was like, why is she in this position? Why do y'all have her in this position? And they kind of was like, oh, I was like, oh, okay. She was telling them nah, what are y'all doing? I don't know what their goal was, and baby's heart rate was not going back up. At that point, baby's heart rate was going down. My doctor was pretty much like, this isn't what we want. We don't want his heart rate dropping. So she was like, if it continues to drop in the next couple minutes, we're going to need to, turn this over to an emergency C-section. And so I was like, okay. During the whole process, I was just trying to remain calm. I was like, oh, God is good. It's not going to give me too much that I can't handle. I know that this is going to be okay. My doctor was like, okay, I'm going to keep monitoring his heart rate and whatnot. So she was like, I'm going to have you sign these papers for the C-section just in case we do have to turn this into emergency C-section. About 5 minutes went by, and his heart rate was still dropping. It wasn't dropping drastically, but it was dropping. She was like, we need to, get you to the operating room. I was like, okay. I never once argued with her. I never once felt like I don't want to do this. I snapped into a mode where I was like, okay. I was just kind of like, whatever it takes to get my baby out safely and healthy, I'm gonna do it. I was like, I didn't make it this far to make it this far. They got me, you know, ready. They took out my earrings. My boyfriend had to change, and this was such a rush that they didn't even put a bonnet on me. They were just like, okay, let's just get her prepped and get her in there. So the overall room, when you walk in, it's all these bright lights. It's cold as hell in there, and there's the OR team in there. They have on their scrubs, their blue scrubs. There was about a team of 8 people in there. There was my OBGYN, there was her like student who was there observing, and there was also the crew, the nurses. So it was about 8 people, including my boyfriend, in the room as well. They began the procedure by moving you from your labor and delivery bed over to the operating table. They rolled me onto a blanket and kind of like lifted me up, and like, yeah, 3 of the nursing staff who were able to get me off of the labor and delivery bed onto the operating table. And mind you, I was numb. You're numb when they do this. I couldn't feel my legs at the time, and so it just felt weird. They were like 1, 2, 3, and then, you know, like put me on the operating table. I was like, damn, y'all strong, because I have this big ass belly. Y'all just lifted about 1,000 pounds over, and then they pretty much prep you with medicine. They drug you up so you're not feeling this operation. They put this big drape in front of you as you're laying down so that you cannot see the operation that's going on in front of you. My boyfriend came in the room by this time. They had me on the table. He was all prepped up in his scrubs and whatnot too. My OBGYN was in the room with her student. He was observing and whatnot. She was kind of teaching him as she was, you know, doing the procedure. They took whatever, I don't know what she took. She pretty much was like, can you feel that? Once I told her that I couldn't feel anything, she was comfortable to start the procedure. She made that incision. Apparently, I don't know what was going on down there. All I can tell you from my perspective, from my POV, I just felt a whole bunch of tugging in my belly. It's like a weird sensation. I was just kind of on the table like, ooh, what's that? That feels weird. And when they actually pull baby out, that's like the worst part of it. She pulled baby out, and I'll insert a clip here.
Good, congratulations, you guys. I don't even have anything. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Once I heard baby crying, I was like, oh my God, my heart was like so full. It was such a beautiful, beautiful moment. So baby was born at 7:47 p.m. on August 22nd, 2022. They took him over to the table. My boyfriend went over to the table. They took a picture with him and everything and the baby. They pretty much wrapped him up and then brought him over to me because I was still on the table and they were busy sewing me back up and whatnot. They brought him and my boyfriend over to me, and they took some pictures and videos of us. And he was just so cute. He was just so beautiful. Oh my gosh, he was just so chubby, and I just wanted to hold him, but I couldn't because I was still drugged up and whatnot. But they put him as close to me as possible. They were like, do you mind if we feed him formula just until, you know, you're able to nurse? They took him to the nursery where they took his temperature and everything and checked his levels. So that was pretty much the birth experience there. They got me sewed back up, and they rolled me to a recovery room where they keep an eye on you for about 30 minutes. They pretty much just want to keep an eye on you after you just had surgery. I was good. I recovered pretty well. I didn't have no complications. Baby didn't have no complications. I was grateful for that. And after the 30 minutes were up, they rolled me to my post-op room, or whatever you want to call it. The room where you stay until you are discharged. I forget what they call those rooms specifically. Baby was still in the nursery getting his, you know, getting his levels and everything checked. My boyfriend had watched him for a couple minutes through the window, and he was just doing so good in there. As far as the pain, I wasn't feeling no pain just yet. They brought baby in the room a few minutes after I arrived. It was just like the cutest bundle of joy. I got to hold him for the first time, and that was a moment. I did some skin to skin. I fed him his bottle. I talked to him. I burped him. If I could relive that moment again, I really would. It was just, from there, it was just recovery. They supplied me with a peri bottle, or however you say that word, the bottle that you used, you know, splash down there to, you know, clean after you use the restroom. I'm gonna be bleeding for a while after having a C-section, or after having a baby in general, so that peri bottle really comes in handy. So they gave me one of those. They gave me a bunch of pads. They gave me a bunch of hospital underwear and things. I was still hooked up to an IV. I opted out for narcotics. I was just taking Tylenol and Motrin on rotation. They would wake you up every 6 hours or whatnot to give you your Tylenol and Motrin on rotation. They took the catheter out about a day later, and then I was able to like move around and actually use the restroom. I was able to also shower. Moving around was so hard, but it wasn't too bad. I was able to get up and move and walk around out of bed the day after and, you know, sit down in a regular chair. I was taking it very slow. Moving around is going to be rough. It's going to be tough after having a C-section. You kind of have to learn how to maneuver around while you're kind of like hunched over. I stayed in the hospital for about 2 days after baby was born. He was born on a Monday night and we went home on a Wednesday afternoon. While we were at the hospital, they were able to do his hearing test, check his iron levels and everything. He passed everything except for the hearing test. We had to go back to the hospital after being discharged to redo that hearing test, which he passed after that. They said that C-section babies sometimes have a lot of debris in their ears and you just have to work it out, like break it up in there. We filled out his paperwork for his birth certificate, social security card, the day before we left. The following day, we were discharged. We adjusted nicely. My boyfriend had to go back to work, so I was pretty much home by myself for majority of the day during the daytime. We went home on a Wednesday. I believe he went back to work Thursday. It was interesting because I was, you know, obviously hunched over in pain because of my C-section and whatnot, but I was able to adjust. I had to be upstairs on the second floor mostly though, so any food or bottled water, bottles for the baby or water for the baby or anything I needed for the baby had to be upstairs on the second floor with me. I couldn't walk up or down the stairs by myself, yet alone with a baby. So everything I needed had to be upstairs. We got through it, and with God, all things are possible. Caring for the C-section incision is a whole thing. With every birth, you have to make sure you're taking care of yourself and also taking care of your baby. But especially with C-sections, there's a lot more that you have to take care of on top of taking care of yourself and on top of taking care of the baby. You can't have your C-section incision submerged in water. You have to keep it dry. You have to air dry it to avoid infection. You can't put any creams on it really. You can't really massage it or anything just yet. I did also have to use like a 4x4, which is basically like a piece of gauze to, you know, make sure I was keeping that area dry and covered. It was just a twice a day type of thing for me. I made sure I did that morning and night so that I was keeping that incision clean. I had to also go to my post-op as well as taking baby to his first doctor's appointment like the next day. I went to the lactation specialist because my milk didn't come in right away. It came in about a week or two, I think 2 weeks later, and that was a powerful moment. I'll speak more about that later in this video. As far as aftercare, that was pretty much all I had to do as far as taking care of the incision. The newborn stage was pretty interesting. The worst part of the newborn stage for me and my boyfriend was the circumcision. It was just like watching our baby being in pain and not being able to do anything about it. It was so sad to watch him go through. It was so heartbreaking to watch and to hear him cry when we would change his diapers because it would hurt. I felt so bad for my baby. So that was giving me anxiety. The thing about breastfeeding is anxiety and stress can hinder your milk supply. I wasn't supplying milk at all, honestly. I would nurse and everything, and he wasn't latching. And so I would try to pump, and when I would pump, nothing would really come out. Nothing would come out at all, honestly. I was like, okay, how can we get the supply up? I was drinking water nonstop. I wasn't really eating as much because, again, I had so much anxiety, and when my anxiety is up, my appetite is off. That was probably a factor in my supply being down. I wasn't stressed about it, but I was just like, I guess I'll get the formula. I was more so stressed about the formula shortage there was. During that time, they were only allowing a couple cans per family. COVID was a weird time. So my breast milk came in about 2 weeks after I gave birth. They pretty much were rationing the formulas, so that was stressing me out. My sister came to visit, but before she left, she prayed over me. And I come from a very spiritual family. I come from a very God-fearing family. I come from a Christian family, a praying family, okay? Brief intermission. I left the conversation off in the middle of a topic. Basically what I was saying earlier was I come from a God-fearing family. I say that to say on the day that my sister had came to visit me from Florida, before she left, she prayed over me. She basically was asking God to be with me during this new phase of life. Mind you, for these 2 weeks that I had my baby, I hadn't had any milk supply whatsoever. After she had finished praying for me, she left, and I would say 10 minutes after she was gone, my boobs started leaking. And I mean like leaking. I was sitting on the couch with my boyfriend and we were just talking. As we were talking, I felt like wetness in my like nipple area. I'm like, what's going on? I know I'm not sweating. Both of my boobs have these big wet circular, like it was like a circle of a wet spot. And that was just like a powerful moment for me. I've had many powerful moments, and this isn't the first powerful moment that I've had with my sister. I just was like mind blown. I was like, wow, look at God. After that, breastfeeding was fun. I wasn't actually breastfeeding, I was pumping. I was doing like a supplemental type of thing. So he'd have majority formula, but he would have some breast milk. And that was in like the first 4 months. After those 4 months, I had completely stopped giving him breast milk because my supply had started to dry up. I wasn't keeping up with my hydration and making sure I was eating enough oats and, you know, doing all the things I'm supposed to do to keep my milk supply up. And then I started having gallbladder attacks and whatnot. And so things just kind of like subsided with giving him breast milk. But I was grateful that I was able to give him at least some type of breast milk in the beginning. After breastfeeding, I would say the newborn stage was fairly easy. My son didn't really sleep throughout the night completely. He would wake up a couple times throughout the night. He didn't like rockers like that. He didn't really care for like sleeping in his crib by himself to nap. He wanted to be held. We tried swaddling would help. You know how infants, newborns especially, they do that jump thing where they move their arms and legs up as almost as if they were startled. So swaddling really helped with that. We swaddled him up until, I want to say 3 months, like 18 weeks or something like that. I'm not sure. That definitely helped a lot with being able to sleep through the night. But he would still wake up here and there. He didn't really like poop at night. He only peed at night. And so changing his diaper wasn't really a frequent thing we would have to do at night, only maybe once. It took me about 3 to 4 weeks to be able to move around normally. I was able to like move around a bit more and, you know, move a little bit quicker at a faster pace and get things done around the house. The only thing I took was Tylenol and Motrin, and I rotated between the two. I did that for about a week. There was a moment where I was like, damn, when is this pain gonna go away? When am I gonna be able to feel back to normal? Once the 3rd or 4th week came and I started feeling a little bit better, I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. After about a week actually of having my son, we did decide to get a mini fridge on the 2nd floor so that I could store his milk and stuff in that fridge, because again, going up and down the stairs was really, really hard for me with having that incision under my belly. I will say that helped me a ton. While recovering, I did take walks because that kind of helped with, you know, healing and whatnot. A couple products I use for my C-section incision, I use Hibiclens, I use Dove antibacterial soap, gauze or 4x4s that my OBGYN provided. Take it easy, take it one step at a time, because you don't want to bust open your C-section incision. Sleep when the baby sleeps, that is key. I was able to just, whenever the baby was sleeping, I was just able to just knock out because I was already so exhausted. Was something that I took very seriously. Don't play about your sleep because you're gonna need it. Don't scroll on TikTok, don't scroll on Facebook, don't scroll anywhere. Put the phone down, turn the light off, turn the TV off, and lay down and get some sleep when the baby is sleeping. What is it like taking care of a newborn baby while recovering from a C-section? For me, it was not hard, but it wasn't easy. It's not going to be a walk through the park, and it's not going to be a piece of cake. It's going to be a little bit challenging, but it's not going to be as hard as you think. Newborn babies, for the most part, they sleep. Once you change your diaper and then feed them, they'll go right back to sleep. All they do is sleep, eat, burp, and go back to sleep. You won't really need to like entertain your baby until about, I say like 3 months, where they're like a little bit more alert. You can get things done around the house But I will say it's gonna be a little bit hard to move around. Get a hatch or some type of sound machine so that baby can sleep peacefully, so that you can sleep peacefully. Get them used to sound too. Make as much noise as possible when they're sleeping so they don't get startled or wake up out their sleep. As far as like taking care of a baby while recovering, it's possible. It's not the hardest thing in the world. If you do have a village, that's extremely helpful as well. You don't want to do too much. Your feet are probably going to be swollen like mine were. Walking around on swollen feet is going to prolong the swelling. The best thing for you to do when you are recovering from C-section and your feet are swollen, you need to sit down somewhere. You need to elevate your feet so that the swelling can go down as much as possible. The less you do, the faster you'll recover. It's okay to take a walk here and there, get a couple steps in. I think that was pretty much the whole gist of me coming home with baby. Life has been good. I haven't really had much struggle other than last year when I was having my health anxiety. One thing about life is you have to have fun, do things that make you happy, try to enjoy life because you only live once, and at the end of the day, your toddler, your baby, your infant, they're only going to be that small once. Try to soak it in is really what I've been doing. I've been trying to really soak in these years where he's just a tiny little thing running around here. I've really been trying to do as many activities as I can with him. Last year I wasn't really feeling my best. Now that I'm kind of like feeling back to myself, I feel better to be able to go outside and play with my son, or take him to the park, or take him to this place or this place, take him to a museum, or do this and do that, and really just enjoy our time and our family time with him because he's only little once. Life has been great. I have no complaints whatsoever. There was a moment where last year I just kind of went through a little something with family. After being so filtered all my life and not really, expressing how I feel or expressing what I think. Growing up in Black households, you kind of just learn to not bother someone if they seem like they're in a bad mood. I could pretty much just learn to bottle everything up and whatnot. So I went through a stage last year with a particular individual, I'm not even going to say my family, where I just kind of was like, you're not going to make me feel the ways that you made me feel all my life, if that makes sense. I'm not going to allow you to be in a situation where you make me feel how you've made me feel in the past. I've been able to just basically open up and kind of tell people what it is and what it's not, and be real with people. And also kind of like, stand my ground and let people, know that you're not about to talk to me this way, or you're not about to say this to me, or you're not about to play in my face. I think being able to do that comes from having a son. I have to speak up for my son, and I started learning that, and I've opened my eyes to pretty much being a parent and being an adult. I just kind of left that individual where they're at, and it sucks that it's that way, but for my sanity's sake, for my health, my mental health, I love peace. I don't like confrontation. I don't like drama. I just like to be. I like to have fun. I like to laugh. I don't like drama. I don't like negativity. If you're negative, I don't want you near me. If you're draining, I don't want you near me. If you have something to say about every little thing, I don't want you near me. If you have a demeanor about you that I don't like, or like an evil spirit, I don't want you near me. If your energy is going to be negative and deceitful or whatever the case may be. So unfortunately, I had to hit block and delete on that person. God bless them. Wherever they're at, that's where they're at, and that's unfortunate, especially when that person is like the common denominator in every situation, if that makes sense. I think what makes it easier, or what had made it easier, is because I never really knew that person all my life. Like, listen, first of all, you're already walking on thin ice because I barely knew you. I barely know you. Okay, so tread lightly here. You had more than one chance. You had chance after chance. The last chance that you get to be an adult and, kind of mend a relationship or create a relationship, because a relationship was never really even there. You had that chance to do that and you kind of effed that up. So it's just kind of like, that's on you. I was in that predicament where I kind of had to make a choice. I don't like this energy. I don't want this near me. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want my son to deal with this. Block, delete, bye. Blocked. Life after a baby has been great other than those couple of things. But I would say the little things, the moments, the beautiful moments, the memories, all of those things is really what I look forward to on a daily. Enjoying family time, enjoying family walks, taking in nature, and also doing things that I love, like YouTube, creating videos, creating a platform for people who want to get to know me more, people I can engage with. I will say, cherish the little moments, make memories, enjoy life, be happy. Happiness has really been on top of my list for me lately. I'm all about happiness. I'm in my healing era. I'm definitely on a self-healing journey. It's been great so far. It's been great thus far. I've been trying to do things that I haven't done before, things that have taken me out of my comfort zone. Parenting alone has taken me out of my comfort zone. I have always been someone who didn't really speak much. I'm still not much of a speaker, of a talker. That's just how I am. I'm an introverted girly. I will always be an introverted girly. But now that I have a son, I just kind of like speak when I need to speak and say what I need to say. And if I feel as though I don't need to say anything, I won't say anything at all. I'm thankful that I have that discipline, because the power of the tongue, man, the power of the tongue. Sometimes I be wanting to say stuff, but then I'm just like, smile and wave, smile and wave. There's no moments where I've popped off, and I don't like that side of me. I like the happy, laughing, smiley Zori. There's been some situations where I just kind of like, don't think I didn't peep the energy you're giving me, because I see you, but I'm gonna let you do you, because you're not gonna get a reaction out of me. There's been a couple times where they caught me slipping and they got the reaction they wanted. But after my sophomore year in college, you're not gonna get a reaction. After that, I was just like, nope, you're not gonna get a reaction out of me anymore. And I hope you guys were able to understand a little bit about life after a baby, during my postpartum. I just hope to be able to spread positivity and love throughout the community of moms, because I love being a mom and it has changed my life for the better. It's nothing but love over here. If you yourself are a mom and you're a first-time mom, or you're a C-section mom, maybe you had an induction, maybe you are expecting. If you're a mom just in general, leave a comment down below. Let's connect. Let's grow this platform. If you guys want to chat more in the comments, I'll be sure to engage with you down below. If you made it this far, I appreciate you for staying. I hope I didn't talk your ear off too much, but I hope I gave you some valuable information. If you guys have any more questions, leave it down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, because I do have more on the way. If you want to be notified whenever I post a new video, be sure to hit that post notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.